Caitlin Clark's work ethic, okay. Comparing her to Taylor Swift. We got Stephanie White talking about free agency and roster expansion, all right? And obviously, free agency is a big deal. We have no idea what the cap's going to be yet. We think it might be $5 million, all right? We think we might have expanded rosters, but we just don't know yet, all right? I think there's to be honest, I think what the owners have offered this league and these players is pretty.
Stephanie White's quiet words on a podcast have exploded into a league-wide controversy, confirming what many feared, a ruthless plan to purge veterans from the Indiana Fever roster. She wasn't subtle, hinting at a strategic shift that could send shockwaves through established careers. This isn't just about team building, it's a cold, calculated move to usher in a new, younger era, potentially at the expense of loyal players. The implication is clear, and the silence from those affected is deafening. Careers are on the line, and White just laid out the blueprint for their dismantling. Cloaked in terms of future planning, the axe is poised to fall.
Her words about free agency I find kind of interesting. Let's listen to this.
And with Caitlin, she's a hard worker because of what she's been able to accomplish. But until you see that there's no wasted movements, no wasted reps, no wasted anything, you just have such a level of respect for how she goes about her work every day. And understanding the spotlight that she's on, understanding the weight that she carries because of who she is. And she's literally like Taylor Swift 2.0. And that somehow she's able to compartmentalize and come to the gym, get everything that she has to get done. She's off doing everything all the time, but when she's there, she's working.
White explicitly stated the Fever operates with a young core, a phrase that when paired with financial constraints and long-term vision, paints a stark picture for anyone not fitting that demographic. She spoke of planning for the next 3 years, even the next 5 years, a time frame that simply doesn't align with many veteran contracts. This isn't about immediate impact players, it's about investing in the future, implying a clear generational shift within the team. The move is designed to reshape the entire franchise from the ground up, favoring potential over proven longevity.
It's kind of interesting because her tone about Caitlin has changed some. She's been in the past, I've made videos on it where it seems she wants to dismiss or diminish some of the qualities of Caitlin Clark, right? The fact that she just come out and said she wants to build around Kelsey Mitchell, and it's like, wait a minute now, you don't want to build around the best player on the team, arguably the best player in the league, really? You don't want to do that? Young, up and coming on top of it?
The analysis didn't stop there. Our insider didn't mince words, directly calling out dinosaurs on the team. Players like Natasha Howard and Dewanna Bonner, he blasted their perceived inability to run up and down the motherfucking court, describing Howard as slow as shit. This isn't just a critique of performance, it's an indictment of age, directly linking veteran status to a lack of desired athleticism and speed in the modern game. The message is unambiguous. If you can't keep up with the youth movement, your time is running out. This aggressive stance highlights the stark reality facing the league's elder stateswomen.
Around the best player on the team, arguably the best player in the league, really? You don't want to do that? Young, up and coming on top of it? I mean, you're going to have one player longer than the other one if you're around. And you guys know I have issues with Stephanie White. And those issues are, I just feel like she oozes agenda that's not basketball related. And that bothers the hell out of me. So let's come over here. This was more things she said. She's talking about free agency in the offseason. Quote,
even a player as central as Kelsey Mitchell isn't safe. While White mentioned wanting to build around her, the analyst strongly suggested Mitchell might actually leave. The reasoning, her elite kind of season, happened when Caitlin Clark was out, placing the offensive focus squarely on Mitchell. Going forward, with Clark's spotlight, Mitchell might not command the same role. This creates a potential conflict between White's stated desire and Mitchell's own career trajectory, hinting at an imminent departure rather than a cut, but still a change from the existing roster. The dynamic has irrevocably shifted.
Yeah, and I've said, a lot of people believe that they've talked about they want to bring Kelsey Mitchell back, and I've said I think there's a chance that she actually leaves. Okay, because I just think she's going to understand I had this elite kind of season, but I had this elite kind of season because Caitlin Clark was out, and the focus was all on me offensively. And that's just not going to be the case going forward. Whereas Kelsey Mitchell could go somewhere like Chicago, and she's going to be the dynamic scorer there.
Sophie Cunningham's situation is even more poignant. The analyst openly shared a strong feeling that Sophie kind of knows that she's at risk of being cut. This isn't a rumor, it's an intuition, suggesting an unspoken understanding, a quiet dread hanging over some players. It implies that the writing is already on the wall, even before official announcements. This preemptive awareness speaks volumes about the palpable shift in team philosophy and the vulnerability felt by players who might not fit the new, younger mold. The locker room tension must be immense.
Movement a lot. And it does make you wonder, is there a monetary amount that maybe they're not willing to pay veterans in all this? Which, in my opinion, that may be cutting Kelsey Mitchell and Sophie Cunningham. And I almost get the feeling from things that we've heard from Sophie, she kind of knows that. And it just so happens, I just come to realize what I'm saying. Both of them went to Project B, or are going to Project B. Huh. That just popped into my head as I was saying that.
The underlying current of this youth movement appears to be financially driven, while not explicitly stated as a budget cut for veterans. The repeated emphasis on a young core and the uncertainties around the salary cap, potentially $5 million, strongly suggest a desire for cost-effective talent. Owners are offering salary increases and revenue sharing, but the league remains unprofitable. This economic reality means teams are seeking maximum value, and younger, developing players often come with a lower price tag and longer contract control, making them a more appealing long-term investment. The bottom line might be dictating personnel decisions.
I mean, it's unimaginable that Odyssey Sims and Ari McDonald and Chloe Bibby, how are they not in the league with somebody? Some of these teams stunk from a talent, and that also goes to talent evaluation by leadership across the league. You got these people that are not even in the league right now. They come in and they're blatantly out. I mean, Ari McDonald looked like a starting point guard for most teams that don't have Caitlin Clark. Let's put it like that. I mean, what are we doing?
White stressed the incredibly tight time frame for roster decisions. The usual 3 or 4 week time frame for evaluation will be non-existent, forcing management to make decisions quickly. This compressed schedule means less time for negotiation, less time for players to prove their worth, and a higher likelihood of swift, decisive cuts. It's a high-stakes, fast-paced environment where long-term relationships could be severed in an instant, prioritizing rapid adaptation over careful consideration. The clock is ticking for everyone on the bubble, leaving little room for error or second chances.
Let's just be real. We don't need some of the dinosaurs on the team. The Natasha Howard types, the DeWanna Bonner type. Quit signing players that cannot run up and down the mother effing court. Natasha Howard looks slow as shit trying to run up and down the court with this team. They couldn't do it. They're running in molasses wearing peanut butter shoes. She was running in place.
Paradoxically, White also passionately advocated for roster expansion, arguing it would provide the opportunity to develop young players and young talent. She lamented that a lot of players who have the potential to play in our league just don't have an opportunity because there's not enough spots. This might seem contradictory, but it reinforces the focus on youth. The expansion, in her view, isn't for keeping veterans, it's for bringing in even more young players who can be developed within the system, ready to step in when needed, further solidifying the youth-first strategy. It's an interesting twist. White further justified roster expansion by citing past hardship routes due to injuries. Her vision is clear. More roster spots mean more young players working in our system, developing every single day, and then they're ready when their number is called. This strategy prioritizes a pipeline of fresh talent, trained and ready, over relying on a small, potentially aging core. It's about building depth with youth, ensuring continuity and performance even through adversity, rather than scrambling for temporary fixes. This proactive approach underscores the long-term vision for a youthful, resilient squad. The conversation shifted to a broader critique of league-wide talent evaluation. The analyst highlighted players like Odyssey Sims, Eric McDonald, and Chloe Bibby, who he argued were clearly capable of playing in the league but were inexplicably unsigned. McDonald, in particular, looked like a starting point guard for most teams that don't have Caitlin Clark. This raised questions about who is truly evaluating these players across the league, suggesting a systemic failure to recognize and utilize valuable talent, regardless of age. This oversight makes the focus on specific young talent even more scrutinized. Caitlin Clark's presence fundamentally alters the team's dynamics, and by extension, roster decisions. White's own tone about Caitlin has changed some, moving from perceived dismissal to calling her Taylor Swift 2.0 and praising her work ethic. This shift in perception indicates a full embrace of Clark's star power. However, White's past statement about wanting to build around Kelsey Mitchell rather than Clark is now a glaring contradiction. Clark's undeniable impact forces a re-evaluation of every player's role, accelerating the need for a complementary, likely younger, supporting cast. White expressed deep respect for Clark's ability to compartmentalize and come to the gym, get everything that she has to get done, despite the immense spotlight and weight that she carries. This emphasis on unwavering work ethic and focus becomes a benchmark for the kind of player White seeks. It's not just about raw talent, but the mental fortitude and consistent drive. This sets a very high bar, suggesting that future roster additions, especially younger ones, will be scrutinized not just for their skills, but for their professional dedication and ability to handle pressure. The conversation veered into the league's attempts to choke off the EuroLeague and Project B off-season basketball. This move, ostensibly to expand games and provide relief from tight game schedules, is seen by the analyst as a way to control players' off-season activities. While not directly about firings, it reflects a broader league strategy to consolidate power and influence over players, impacting their options and potentially their earning potential outside the WNBA. This strong-arm tactic hints at a future where players have fewer choices, potentially pushing them further into the league's controlled environment. The analyst made a striking observation. Both Kelsey Mitchell and Sophie Cunningham are reportedly going to Project B, an off-season basketball program. This revelation, I just popped into my head as I was saying that, adds a layer of irony to their precarious situations. If the league is actively trying to limit such programs, and these players are involved, it creates an additional, subtle tension. It suggests a potential misalignment with the league's long-term vision, perhaps subtly influencing their perceived value within the WNBA system, especially when considering the push for controlled young talent development. The financial discourse also touched upon owner offers, 4 times the amount of salary and some revenue sharing. While seemingly generous, the analyst noted it's not what they're looking for, because the league has not turned a profit. This financial disparity means player demands, especially for a 50-50 split, are deemed not attainable. This economic reality frames all roster decisions. Teams must be hyper-efficient with their payroll, making the argument for younger, less expensive talent even more compelling, as veteran contracts can be seen as disproportionate to the league's current revenue. White's admiration for Caitlin Clark extended to her no wasted movements, no wasted reps, no wasted anything approach. This meticulous dedication sets an incredibly high bar for future players. It's not enough to be talented. One must embody an absolute commitment to efficiency and precision in training. This standard, derived from Clark's elite work ethic, becomes a subtle but powerful filter for potential acquisitions, especially for younger players entering the system. Those who don't demonstrate this level of discipline might quickly find themselves on the outside looking in. The cumulative effect of White's statements, coupled with the analyst's pointed observations, paints a definitive picture. I think this roster is going to look a lot different. This isn't just speculation, it's an informed prediction based on the strategic shifts being articulated. The old guard, the dinosaurs, are clearly marked for replacement by younger, faster, and more financially viable talent. The changes are not incremental, they are systemic, designed to fundamentally alter the team's identity and competitive approach for years to come. The transformation is already underway. The analyst even speculated on Kelsey Mitchell's potential destinations if she leaves, naming teams like Chicago and the Connecticut Sun. He envisioned her as a dynamic scorer in Chicago, like Kennedy Carter without the attitude problem. These detailed scenarios underscore the analyst's conviction that Mitchell's departure is a real possibility, not just a hypothetical. The fact that other teams desperately need scoring makes her a valuable commodity elsewhere, further highlighting the Fever's willingness to let go of established talent for their long-term youth strategy. Her exit could be a gain for another franchise. This youth movement isn't just confined to the Fever, it's a trend that could sweep across the entire league. With roster expansion being pushed and an emphasis on developing young talent, other teams might follow suit, creating a more competitive landscape for new draftees, but a more perilous one for veterans. The WNBA, still striving for profitability, may see this as a sustainable model. The focus on potential to play over immediate impact for every roster spot signals a significant philosophical shift in how talent is acquired and nurtured, reshaping the entire player ecosystem. So Stephanie White's comments, initially framed as forward-thinking strategy, have inadvertently confirmed a looming purge. The Indiana Fever is poised to undergo a radical transformation, shedding its veteran skin to embrace a future built on youth, speed, and cost efficiency. This isn't just about winning games, it's about a complete organizational reset. With the dinosaurs facing extinction and a new generation ready to claim their spots, the question isn't if players will be replaced, but how many and what impact this ruthless shift will have on the league's cherished veterans. The future is young and it's coming fast.